Hi, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Samach Dalet Amud Aleph, Samach Dalet Masechet Ksubos. We left off at Samach Dalet Amud Aleph, so we got some little difficult Gemaras and Amud Beis. But let's see. Let's start where we left off. We're talking about a Moredas Samach Dalet 64.
Okay.
So we're talking about a woman basically refuses, rebels in terms of not having relations. And we said also by an Arusa, also we had a case over there. We said that she refused basically for the Nisuin. So Amar Rav Tubi Bar Chisna. We're on the 7 lines from the top. What is it? So yeah. All right. So 7 lines from the top, middle of the page or middle of the line. Amar Rav Tubi Bar Chisna Amar Shmuel Kaisvin Igeres Mered. Al Arusa. We write a document of rebellion, all right, for Arusa, I guess, which could be used to deduct from her ksuba, as if she doesn't want, and the Nisuin guy says, no, let's go, and she refuses, so if she refuses to get married, we write for that, but we don't write if it's the case of the Shomer Siyava. So Shmuel is mechalik between the two. So we have a price that we saw yesterday. We'll bring it again. That we said over there that they're all the same. That when we were talking about rebelling, it's the same thing. And on that list is an Arusa and the Shomer Siyava. There is no chiluk in between the two. So why is it different? A woman awaiting Yibum that doesn't want to get married versus an Arusa that doesn't want to get married. Why do we only write a letter, a shtar against her in the case of a Rusa, but Shomer Siyava?
By Shomer Siyava, can she, if she wants the chalitza not even, does she have that right as long as the husband or the brother-in-law to decide which way he wants to go?
So, the brother-in-law is the one who decides. I mean, they both have it. But if one of them wants to do gets married, and the other one says no, then right. Right.
So that's still considered marriage. If she says, "I don't want to do Yibum and do chalitza," that's considered a marriage.
So let's see. Right. Are you going to touch it? So let's see. So the Gorg is the first hair. So Samach Dalet Amud Aleph, Loi Kasha. Samach Dalet Amud Aleph, like middle of the skinny lines. Loi Kasha, last 2 words of the line. Kan Shetava Hu, Kan Shetava He. When he is the one making a claim, that's different than she's making a claim. In other words, when he's saying, come and get married to me, and she's saying no, then we'll write her up. But if she says, go ahead and take me in marriage, and he says no, that's the case of we don't write for Shomer Siyava. So Damarav Tachliva Baravim Amar Shmuel Tavahu Niskakin Lo. Right? If he claims, and let's get married now. She says no. Then then she's at fault, and we write against us. However, Tavahi, she says let's get married. Ein Niskakin Lo. Then he's not written up. We'll soon see why. So my came to the Shmuel. So what case have we established? That case of Shmuel when he differentiated between a Arusa and a Shomer Siyava. Shetavahi, when she was the one who made the claim, says, "Hey, come marry me." And in the case of Yibum, we don't. So hi kaisin igeres mar al Arusa la Arusa mibayle. First of all, it should have said la Arusa to the Arusa. In other words, we write him up to give to her that he basically was the one at fault. He's the one who's refusing because she's claiming, hey, let's go get married. And he's saying no. So in Arusa, we write, she says, La Arusa. So of course, it's La Kashatani La Arusa. Okay, fine. Write La Arusa. But the Gemara is still not satisfied. The law. What's the reason by Shomer Siyava that we don't write him up if he refuses to go ahead and with Yibum? Darmin and La Zil, right? Because we say basically, right, a woman is not commanded in Pruvu. So therefore, if a guy says, hey, come go ahead and get married, and she's like, no, the guy's like, well, you're getting away with my mitzvah. But she doesn't have an obligation of Pruvu. So Ruka says, Arusa Nami, so the Arusa is the same thing, right? If she claims she doesn't want to get married, name a law, you're not commanded. So Ella, Baba, Machmas Tain. Right, there's a taina. The Amra Beina Chucha Liyadom Amar Kfura. So in the case of Arusa, the reason why we write it up is because hey, I need to go ahead and get married, have children, because I don't want to be sent to the nursing home. I want them to be, to take care of me and to bury me. So Gemara says, "How can I Shomer Siyava?" Same case with the Shomer Siyava. Baba Machmas Taina. Rather, let's go back to the drawing board. The case of Shmuel was not when she was saying, let's get married. He said, no. Rather, the case was he was telling them, hey, I want to go ahead and get married. Nevertheless, the case of the Russo, we write up. Why is that? A Russo, we always write up when it makes the claim. In the case of a Shemer Yavam, he's saying, let's go ahead and get married. So it's different whether he's saying, hey, let's go ahead and do Chalitza, or let's go ahead and do Yibum. Right? If she's right, so if the case where he wants to do chalitza, then we go ahead and we force, right? So therefore, the courts go ahead and force her to allow chalitza to be performed. However, tava liyavim, but if he wants to go ahead and do yibum, then it is kakin law. Then we don't go ahead and force him. So Gor says maishna liyavim, deloy maishna liyavim, deloy marina zil nasiv, isis achrisi. Because the case of Yibum, in other words, if we don't force her to go ahead and, if she says, let's get married, she's like, no. So, okay, go ahead and marry another woman. Who cares? Okay, so she's your Shemer Zed. You can still marry somebody else. So, well, then the case of Chalitza also, why do we force? Let him just go ahead and marry another woman. She doesn't want to do Chalitza. So, Ella Damar, Kevan, Dagida, B, like, so he says, no, since, case of, I still have this woman who's attached to me, I'm not going to get a good shit up. So what's the difference in Yibum and Chalitza? Rather, both cases going back to the drawing board he says, let's go ahead and do Yibum. And she says, I'm not doing Yibum. So which case is she at fault? Do we write a letter of Meredith against her? Like Kashikam b'Mishnah Rishona, Kam b'Mishnah Achrona. Right, it has to do with depending on which Mishnah. Originally, we taught that Tnan mitzvahs Yibum condemns the mitzvahs Chalitza. The mitzvah of Yibum comes first, and therefore, according to the mitzvah Rishona, you can go ahead and force. Samach Daled Amud Aleph. Rishona in the beginning of Shayim mitzvah when they had good intentions, and therefore the Yibum was the priority. However, Achshav, but now Shem is Kavin in the Shemitza. But now, when there is nowadays when people don't have such lishma intentions, then Amr mitzvahs the Chalitza kadem is the mitzvahs Yibum. Now we say the mitzvah of Chalitza comes ahead of Yibum. And therefore, so in the original, we said we write a note of Meredith against her. It's only when Yibum was the preferred method, and she didn't want to do Yibum, then we write against her. But once Chalitza is not preferred method, he says, okay, let's do Yibum. We don't force her. That's not considered to be Meredith. Fine. To that, so we said, "Amasai hukoiches."
We don't force you to do the Chalitza.
Well, not talking about Chalitza. That was Yibum.
Yeah.
We said earlier by Chalitza we force. By Chalitza we force. That was earlier. Yeah. But now the difference in Shmuel in the two cases is in the case of Yibum, whether it was which one was preferred. The one that says that there was Meredith was when originally when Yibum was preferred. Fine. So we said how much you deduct. So our Mishnah said 7 Shiva dinarim, and Rabbi Yehuda says 7 tarpikin. So what's tarpikin? Samai tarpikin. Samarav sheishes astira, right? And that's an astira, which is a sela medina. The kama astira, and how much is that? Pal b'dezuzah, a half a zuz. All right. So now, what's it saying here? So if it's the amount of suri, right? Those were 8 times the amount of Medina, right? Because those were made solid. Those are solid silver as opposed to not. So depending on what the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda were saying, so he's saying a half a zuz. Now, if it was a half a zuz, the Tanakama says 1 zuz. We're talking about suri, so therefore Rabbi Yehuda is saying 4 times the amount above and beyond. 4 times the amount of the Tanakama, and if you hold they're talking about the same thing, they're both talking about the same, both Medina, both Tsuri, then it's only a half of
What's Suri?
Tsuri was I guess the type coins. It was an area
From
Sur, right?
Sure.
That was their
Lebanon.
coins, right?
Tire. Oh, tire. Yeah.
Now,
You know,
So Tanya Mehachi.
they only say Torah when I never heard.
So
of it.
similarly, we learned Rabbi Yehuda, right?
Yeah.
The Tyrian currency, right? So their currency was different, and they made it more solid. So the only question was Tanakama talking about right a zuz when that was Suri, and therefore the Rabbi Yehuda is saying half the amount of the Tanakama, or was it talking about Medina, and therefore the half is zuz, which would be actually 4 times because a half or 8 times a half is 4. Fine. And Tanakh is another Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shleisha Tabiikin, right? The 3 Tabiikin Shahed Tisha Main. There is a 9 ma, right? Because over here a ma is 1 is 6 to 1, and therefore. So if you have 3 Tabikin, right? And so that we're 3 times 6 is 18, but half of that, because we say half of only half of zuz. So instead of 18, it's only 9. Shein Tisha Mayin, right? Which is ma b'cheitzu chol yom. So therefore, she gets 9, which is 9, which is 1.5 per day, because it's 6 days. So therefore, it's similar to what we just said. And I'm related to the Shmuel. If you go ahead and look at the Mishnah, it says that if we deduct from her 7 per day, 7 per week, 1 per day, including Shabbos, her reimbursement for him refusing is 1.5 per day, only 6 days. So why do we take Shabbos into account against her? But we don't take Shabbos into account against him. So the Shabbos. So we're answering Shabbos. Since we're deducting from her ksuba, it doesn't look like anybody's getting schar Shabbos. However, but over here when he is being mored, right? You add to her ksuba, so that looks like schar. It's a mix. Shabbos, we take out Shabbos. And now Rabbi Kiva says the Shmuel, my bein or the Meredas. Why is it that we pay him more than her? Right? Doesn't make a fair deal. So I'm relate. Say right? Go out in the shuk of Zainas. Who's paying who? Men have a stronger desire, so they're the ones paying more. Therefore, there's more of a need. So therefore, the quote unquote the damage to them is therefore they reimburse more. And Misa as me, and the Varacher is Yitzim V'chutza Yitzim V'fnim, right? The one Yitzim on the outside is, I guess, recognizable, right? If one is abstinent versus the other, which is not. Fine. Mishnah. Naya Mishnah. Mishnah says, Hamashra es Ishtay Ayidei Shlish. One goes ahead and he supports his wife through a third party. You should not give her less than 2 kav of wheat a week. All right, we're gonna have to remember this because this is gonna be Gemara, which I don't understand, but we'll get there. So it's 2 kav a week is supposed to provide for her meals. All right, that's just to remember when we get to the complicated part. Now, or 4 kav of sa'ira of barley that will also provide. And I'm Rabbi Yezilei pasuk la sa'ira ella Rabbi Shmuel shaya semach ledam, and only Rabbi Shmuel, he was the one who prescribed the barley because he was close to Adam. We'll explain what that means. Hopefully we'll get to the bottom. But nice chatzi kav kinis, he also, in addition to her meals, right, the amount of flour and stuff for bread, also he gives or wheat, right? But the nice chatzi kav kinis, he gives also half a kav of legumes, shemen and oil, the kav grogras, and a kav of figs, or mana devela, or a mana's worth of devela of a pressed fig cake. Bimeinlo, and if he doesn't have paisek lumasan, if he doesn't have those, then pasek lumasan peros muakamacher. Then he gives her different types of fruits to make up for it if he doesn't have the pressed figs or not. But naisin lamita mafetz machzelas, he gives her basically a bed and a box spring and a mattress to sleep on. But naisin la kipa la reisha, he also provides for her a cover for her hair, for her head, a kerchief, right? A kipa la reisha. The chager lamasna, right, and a belt for her to wear, right, the manalayim and shoes from holiday to holiday, v'shlosh regalim, the kelim shel chamishim zuz mishana l'shana, and clothes and for 50 zuz for year to year. They nice in la chalash masachama, and you don't give her the new clothes because those are heavier; those have been thinned out before the summer. And in the winter, you don't give her the used stuff. Ella, Rabbi, how should you go ahead and do it? Zuz, give her the new clothes in the winter because that's when it's fullest, it doesn't lose material, and so then it's warmest. Then she wears it, and then when it gets thinned out, She'll continue to wear it through the summer. Then the parts that fall out, those belong to her. And nice in la ma'kasa. He also gives her ma'kasa for her needs. The achelas imo maleli Shabbos, and he dines with her, right, every Friday night. The main nice in la, and if he doesn't have nice in la ma'kasa, that's if he doesn't have the ma'kasa to give her for her needs, then then she can keep her wages, take it out of her wages. What should she do for him? So Mishka Chamish Slaim, Shesi Behuda, she gives him 5 slimes worth, right, for wages of Shesi, right, the spinning the wool in Yehuda, Shehain Eser Slaim Begala, which is worth 10 Sela and Galil. Mishka Eser Slaim Arev Behuda, or she gives him the Arev also, right, with the threads. And Yehuda, Shehain Eser Slaim, which is once again, the currency is much cheaper in Galil, double, right, Shehain Eser Slaim Begala, right, inflation. And she was nursing, then she's not required to earn as much. She has to go ahead and nurse, and she can't put as many hours. And we have to go ahead and provide her more food for her to eat because she's nursing the baby. This is only referring to a poor person who has meager amounts. But a person has more money. Everything goes according to the honor. I guess they're his money, his wealth. Fine. Zok the Gemara. Money must nisin. Loi Rabbi Yechon and Broika. Loi Rabbi Shimon. Now it's gonna get a little dirty. So the Tanan. The Kamashira Mazan Shtei Sudos. Now, first also, we have another case by everybody you have to provide for the Eber Chatzeras over there, Eber Chumen over there. So it was 2 meals, right? 2 meals. Right? 2 meals for the Chumen. Now, and they were talking about meals. Weekday meals, not Shabbos meals, right? There's a different amount of bread required. No. The Shabbos is right? And no, the Shabbos meals, not the weekday meals. The Zeb is Kavin and Lahaka. Both of them are Kavas to Haka. In other words, the mayor says, I guess there's more bread on Shabbos, and Rabbi Yehuda says there's less bread on Shabbos because of the courses. Fine. So that we don't need to really pay attention to. Now we're going to bring Rabbi Yechon Broka and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yechon Broka Aimer. Kikar halakuach the pundayon the arba sign lasela. Says Rabbi Yechon Broka. So how much bread is there? When a loaf, right, is purchased, right, pundayon, right, for 4 sa lasela, right. So when in other words, when a loaf that is bought for a pundayon is 4 sela of grain are bought for a sela. So what does this mean? Now. So when it comes to a right, I was looking at the notes. Rashi has it over here. It's a little more complicated, but basically, we say that a sela, right? A sela is 4 dinars, and so basically a sela is worth more, right? A sela is 4 dinars, right? And a dinar is 6 mo, right? And a ma is 2 pendayons. So the amount of pedionos in a sela is 48 because it's 4 times 6 times 2. Now, then a saw is 6 calves, right? So a saw is 6 calves, and therefore there are and 4 saws are 24 calves. So when it comes out to it, I'm just looking over here because I get confused, right? So he says that it's 48 pedionos for a meal, and I'm just a little lost in my thoughts here. Right now, saw 6 calves. Just reading over here. It says a saw 6 calves, and 4 saws is right. So 4 is 6. So therefore, there's 24 calves, right? 4 saws is 24 calves. I understand. 4 saws is 24 calves, right? And because it's 1 to 6, right? And therefore, if 4 saw, right, that's what it is, 4 themselves for 48 pedionos, right? If 4 is which is 1 sela, right? 4 saw for a sela. So therefore, 2 pedionos will buy 1 calf, right? So 2 will buy 1. So 2 pedionos will buy a calf. That's the amount and therefore, so according to him, and 1 will buy a half a calf. right? It won't buy half a kav, and therefore, so each pidyano buys 1/2 of kav. Now that was Rabbi Yechon Broka, and Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says shtei yados lekikar mishalosh kikaros lekav. So he says no different. He says that the meal is 2/3, right, or each third right, of a loaf, which is 2/3 of a loaf, right? So therefore, each meal, because you have to get 2 meals as a loaf, so 1 meal is a loaf, and we said that a kav, right, earlier, which is 1 to 4, then 4, then 6 times into a what's it called for the amount of 4 to 6 is a cell, right? So therefore, we say over here that he holds that it would come out to so 2 meals would be 2/3, all right, because it's only 2. Right, each meal is an 8, is 8 of 24, because it's 8 and 8 is 16, which is 24 total. So 2/3 of that is, so each meal is 8, and then therefore 2/3 of the 8 is 5 and change when it comes to the amount provided. So if you look at Rav Shimon, right, see, I'm just looking at Rashi for a second. Beis sudos hein shtei yodos shel kikar, right, 2/3 of a kikar, mishlosh kikaros of 2/3, right, 2/3 of a kikaros lekav, and imsa hakav, turns out the kav is tes sudos. So each kav, right, would be 9 sudos, shlosh sudos the kikar, but shlosh kikaros lekav, right. So therefore, each meal is a 1/9, right. So each meal is 1/9 of a kav, and earlier we had each meal is a 1/2 of kav. Okay, so that's how each meal is a 1/2 a kav versus 9 kav. Now, so that was what they had. And by the way, these different shiurim that are used for the what's it called, for the Erev Tchumen. So by the way, these are chatzia. Half of this is Beis Menuga. Half of this is the sheer amount that if one walks into a house with tzaras, that you have to linger the amount to eat a loaf of bread for that amount. And chatzia, and half of that. If the person has food in his mouth to make him tamei, and chatzia, and half of the half is being makabel tuma oichlin, how much food is becoming tamei. Now, right, half, correct. Now, going back to our Mishnah, because our Mishnah says you provided 2 kavs, and we said Rabbi Yechon, that what you said earlier. So just to take away from what we said earlier, according to one shita, a kav, a meal, Rabbi Yechon Baroka, a meal is 1/2 a kav, and according to the other shita, it's a 1/9. Now, Mani, Rabbi Yechon Baroka, Timni Havi, right? Then you'll say that he has to go ahead and provide her 2 kavs, right? Which are, right, so we said that the double meal is considered to be a 1/2. So therefore, each kav is 1/4 meal, right? So each kav is 1/4 meal, and therefore, if he provides her 2 kavs, that comes out to 8 meals. Now, a person needs more than 8 meals a week. He's provided her meals for the week. According to Rabbi Yechon Broka, right? We just said earlier that each kav is each kav is 1/4. So to give you your 2 kavs, he's going to give you 8. Rabbi Shimon, if it's Rabbi Shimon. So what do we say over there? Then it's only that each one, we said each meal is a 1/9, right? The double meal is 2/9, so each meal is 1/9. So therefore, if he gives her 2 kavs, that's 18 meals. She doesn't need 18 meals. So our answer is no. The other Rabbi Yechon Broka, really, so Rabbi Yechon Broka was that 12. Right? That over there, you have to buy more because for the storekeeper. So therefore, it's the amount. So so therefore, since it's actually you're providing more, right? That's only for the Chanvani, but if you provide more, so half of it, right? So we say over there that 1/3 of it goes to the Chanvani. So 1/3 of the, right, so of the amount, so 8 when it comes back comes out to 12, right? Because the 8 was only from your resulting 8, which was once upon a time 12. So therefore the shopkeeper takes off. So therefore it's not really 8, but the amount provided is really 12. So but 12 is still short. He has to provide her 2 meals a day, which is 14 meals a week. So okay, so she eats. We said earlier in the Mishnah that she eats with him Friday night. So therefore, the Friday night meals is needed. So therefore, you don't need 14 meals. You need less than that because she eats with him Friday night. So the Gemara says, wait. First of all, that which we say they eat together Friday night is referring to mamish eating. But achila was a euphemism for tashmish amita, that the Friday nights, in other words, that it referred to relation. Michael and I were already say that. And furthermore, place there having also, even if you have he has to provide her 14 meals, and you take one away, she eats with him, so he's only providing her, he needs to provide her 13 meals, right? So the Gemara says Ella. So the Gemara says Ella kadamar Rav Chizda say meher mechzer chenvai. So no, Rav Chizda didn't say it was a half, actually a third. Rather, he said a half. So Kanami Asi a palga v'shadi 11. So over here, if you want a net result 8 meals, you need you need to have. Half of it is taken away, so therefore it has to be 16. So therefore he's giving the amount that the 2 kav covers 16 meals. So Gemara says, first of all, Kashi Rav Chizda, Rav Chizda just said a half, and the third, the Gemara answers like Kashi. Right? One's a place where they provided wood, or they didn't. Right? And those people brought in the grain would sell to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper would have to go ahead and prepare it. So So if he provided with the firewood, right, then he would have to give more because he's getting free wood. Otherwise, he would only be a third, and therefore, because he provides the wood. But that nevertheless, iachi. So let's go back to our case. Sheetzinavi. So he said, okay, if it's half, and we were working on the number 8, so you double 8, and it's 16. So come on. So it was like, it must be it's not 14 because it's 2 meals a day. Rather, on Shabbos, there's a requirement of 4 meals, which is now gives you a total of 6 days of 2. Right, plus 4 is 16 meals. So the Gemara says, "I feel the Rabbanim." You say the Rabbanan, but there are only 3 meals. Right, right. You need an extra meal to provide her, give her 15 meals because the people come and she has guests. Sash is the Hakana. You say this. I feel the Rabbi Shimon. Even if you say Rabbi Shimon, we said it was 18. So the Rabbanan dal tlas l'archei. She has a lot of guests, so therefore take 18, take away 3 meals for guests, and therefore because she needs 3 on Shabbos. And the Rabbi Chizda dal tarti l'archei parchei. And according to Rabbi Chizda, who says there's 4 meals. It says there are. It says 4 meals on Shabbos. Therefore, she needs a requirement of 60 meals. So why is he giving her 18 meals? According to Rabbi Shimon, because you take 2 away for guests, and therefore that comes out to be perfect. Maybe we'll stop here. We got a little later. All right, we'll stop here. Shkayach. So tomorrow, Hashem, we'll pick up from here for the 2.